Hey folks, today I've got my famed GPS test between the Apple Watch Ultra and the Garmin Epic series. Now both of these have multi-band GPS, which is basically the highest category of GPS out there, and we're going to take it through the streets of New York City all the way across to see how well it holds up. Now I'm just simply going to get started and then I'll explain this whole thing as we get running. Okay, so off we go. Okay, so I've started at the very tip of Manhattan near Staten Island Ferry. From there you can also take a ferry off to Ellis Island to see the Statue of Liberty. I'm going to run along the outer edge at first here, mainly because running the roughly 100 blocks to Central Park through the middle of the city would take miserably forever. Constant stop and go at every single block. But don't worry, we're going to ride through the thick of it all just a little bit later on in the run. So multi-band is great for this sort of scenario right here, where I've got exposure to the sky, but I'm also underneath the edge. And that's the reality of this running path right here. So if you're in a situation like this, how well does it actually handle? Now we got the color-coded tracks at the top there, and you can see all these are really good. There's a slight bit of difference though between the Apple Watches on the left-hand wrist versus the Garmin watches on the right-hand wrist, but we'll flip that in just a second. Overall though, like, there's no massive errors here. These are all very close, within a lane or two where I actually ran. So as we approach the Brooklyn Bridge up here, we're definitely solidly underneath that, and mostly because the path off to the right up there is closed, so this is where I am. Again, the realities of running in a city. Well, construction dead end there. Gotta dive into the city a little bit there. So I think this is a good time to swap sides. I'm gonna swap the Epics and the Apple Watch to the opposite side, just to give an even chance for this next section here. It's been about 20 minutes of running, so do a quick swap-a-roo. Okay, good to go. Another construction detour, backtracking. I'm super tempted to do a loop at the track right now, but I think I've got enough diversions and detours already. Also, in comes the rain. You can see it up ahead here. So I've been trying to keep pace with the barge up here. He's slowly edging me out. But this whole area here is fairly wide open, as you can see. So be interested to check out now how the accuracy looks in this more open area. So out in the open here, no problems at all. These all look really good, which makes sense because again, it's wide open. Now note, I'm going to dip below the highway here in a second, right there. And you can see all the watches kind of struggle, but in different directions. Apple Watch goes one direction, the Garmin watches go the other direction. The Series 8 though does sort of split the difference, and I think just gets it right based on purely dumb luck alone. After that, they all normalize again as we get closer to the edge. Okay, back against the buildings and underneath the expressway again. Remember, we swapped sides here, so be fair play. Now, while all these tracks slightly disagree, none of them are horrible. They're all under the expressway. I'd say the 955 is probably the closest, but again, it's kind of a wash. Dope! I missed my turn. I meant to go under here and then up into the buildings. Don't worry, just 50 meters or so. Okay, so with that, we have left the river behind, and now we are going into the city towards the big buildings. Switching sides of the street just again and keep things even as much as possible. And just look at this, we're down the street with massive buildings on all sides, and by and large, most of the watches are at least on the road. Occasionally, one goes off one side or the other side, but both the Apple Watch Ultra and the Epics mostly stay on the road, except this point right there, where everything goes a little wonky for a second, but then it all kind of consolidates again. I'm not sure what happened in that one block, but it wasn't good for GPS across the board. He's moving quick. It's been constant stop and go with some of these lights, playing catch up and tag ahead of and behind each other, back and forth. It's the reason why I avoided the whole city section, is that, well, it's kind of fun. It's also just non-stop stopping every block and a half or two if you're lucky. Now, while this looks a little bit wiggly, all of these watches are largely staying on the road. Every once in a while, every watch goes and takes a dip into the buildings, but it's not like 3 blocks away. It's just barely through the front door and back again, which is a massive improvement over years past. Freedom! Have reached the end of the buildings. Into Central Park we go. Horses, carriages, all good to go there. Down in Central Park, but don't worry, we'll be back in those buildings in just a moment. Now, I wanted to hit up Central Park mostly because of the GPS had a rough time in the city, or the denser city portions. I wanted to see if it would recover here in the park, and also see how it handles some of these small trails. More rain. Now, I didn't mention it earlier on, but this is actually my second run of the day. I started my day in Amsterdam. I had an early morning run at 6 or 7 in the morning. Then I jumped straight in the plane. I sat for 8-9 hours, and then it's now about 4 o'clock here. It's been about an hour or so running so far. Legs are a bit tired, and thus, Casey, I will apologize if I'm a bit slow and tired tomorrow morning for our run. And no, there's no video planned with Casey. It's just two guys out for a run. Simple as that. Told you, Casey. Well, thanks for shots. Nicely done, man. Your pace is rocking. 640s a mile we're doing. Well done. Now, as we head into one of the most difficult parts of the run, let's see how things fared first in Central Park.
Now, we don't need to spend too much time here. Even at a high level, you can see everything is pretty much on the path. And if we zoom in close, we can see as well, everything's exactly where I expect it to be, within essentially like one runner's lane worth of distance from where I actually ran. Across the board, very solid from all the units here.
Now, we're going to finish up one of those difficult sections here. Super tall buildings straight into Times Square. I've included this section on my New York City accuracy test for nearly a decade, and today is no different. Okay, into Times Square we run. Final 30 seconds. And here we are, run complete. Let's take a look at this last section and see how things actually looked.
So things start off good, and then pretty quickly thereafter, we've lost the Ultra. It's in the buildings, deep inside these buildings to the right-hand side there. The other units are kind of on the road. They pop back in again right there. You can see 2 out of 3 anyways. And then we got 3 out of the 4. The Apple Watch, oh, there we go. It's coming back in again. Nope. It's back in the buildings again. But as we come up to Times Square, it loops in back from the side and lands into the center of Times Square where I finished the run there. It's not pretty, but again, this is like one of the most challenging sections of New York City. If we look at that section again from above, just kind of straight down, you can see what it looks like. Again, we're coming from the left here, and things start off pretty good for that first block and a half, 2 blocks, and then boom, the Ultra is just off in the buildings by half a long block essentially, so one like regular short block if you will, and then just sort of barely skirting on the insides there. Nonetheless, all these watches are way improved over every year I've been doing this for the last decade or so, essentially, and I look forward to seeing how this improves again in the coming years.
I was all ready to get an awesome picture from the top of the stairs, but the police lady said because it's raining, the stairs are closed. Come on, New York. I thought you New Yorkers are tough. What is this all about? A little bit of rain is barely even like barely sprinkling. Okay, got my solution to 2 problems at once. Number 1 is nutrition, proper nutrition after a run like this, and number 2, a bike to get all the way down the 100 or so blocks back to my hotel. Can I just get 2 glazed donuts? Perfect. Thank you. Have a good one. Chocolate milk and a Krispy Kreme donuts seem like the perfect recovery situation. Okay, there you go. A complete look at GPS accuracy between the Apple Watch Ultra and the Garmin Epix and a few other watches as well. Hopefully you found this interesting and entertaining. If so, give it a like or hit subscribe for plenty more sports technology goodness. It's not going to get quiet anytime soon. Have a good one.
Now on the screen right now, I got links to my Apple Watch Ultra in-depth review where I trail run and hiked for 14 hours across the Alps non-stop to see how well the battery hold up, as well as my Garmin Epix review where I did some pretty epic stuff for that as well.